Okay, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Alright, so I had to try it again, had some problems with my laptop. Okay, so I'm trying with my phone this time. So anyway, I hope you guys are all well and hope you guys can all see as well. I don't know if you guys can see. Yeah, can you guys hear? Can you guys see? Is it working well? Alright, so I'm gonna try answering questions now. So I got a lot of questions on the Curious Cat. So I thought, you know what, I'm gonna try to answer those inshallah ta'ala. I tried to do it on my laptop, but the problem is the software is a bit heavy that I use to try and live stream. So I don't know, it's just causing me problems. Keeps freezing. So anyway, all right. The first question is: if a woman shapes her eyebrows, is it necessary that she then covers them in front of non-mahrams? Um, Not really. Okay, so not really. She doesn't have to cover them. However, the general rule is that anything which, she is going to do, which is to impress other people, especially other men, then she shouldn't be doing it. All right. So, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. So she shouldn't be doing this. If she feels that this, showing her eyebrows, shaped eyebrows, which is going to be attractive, and she's going to, want to impress other people, then she shouldn't do it. Otherwise, generally, I don't see a problem, an issue with that. And men should, I mean, obviously, if a man has attraction, desire towards a particular woman, he should lower his gaze. Yeah, lower his gaze and move on, basically. Generally, we are told that we are not allowed to come in front of non-mahrams with makeup on, even if we're wearing hijab. Recently, I just read an article written by an ustada who said that some of the teachers in Azhar don't see a problem with that as long as it is not it's not over the top, and the decent women in the society do. Do you have any thoughts on that? Yeah, I mean, with regards to makeup, as long as it's light makeup, it's not heavy makeup, and a woman wears it, not to kind of impress other people. This is something which is permitted. It's allowed. However, a woman should not overdo. The problem with overdoing, telling a woman not to overdo, is where does she draw the line? Because a lot of women are peer pressured, so they see other people, other women wearing makeup, and they feel they have to wear that kind of makeup. That's why, if you look at all the tutorials, they do so well because they feel as though they have to wear this level of, eyeshadow, or they have to wear this level of lipstick, or they have to wear this level of whatever they wear. So again, this is a very tricky area. You know, Generally, I think if a woman is confused, then she should ask someone else, "Am I wearing too much makeup?" Yeah, and if the woman is honest and truthful, they'll say to her, "Yeah, you're wearing too much makeup, or you're not." So that's what I would say. So light makeup, which is just to kind of enhance some features, that's fine. But clown makeup, which is basically to make you look like a circus act, then no, yeah, don't do that, please. Okay. Next question. That is what they. Okay, so this is a question regarding nikah namas. That's okay. I'll leave that one because it's quite long. Next one. Uh, Alright, that was quite long as well. Looking for evidence to why we follow Saudi and not Morocco. Alright, so basically this is all to do with the moon sighting. Right, so moon sighting, there is one moon, right, and there's one planet Earth. So is there one sighting we follow around the world? Is there a global sighting, or does every single locality, or every single country have their own sighting? And even within a country, can different localities have a different sighting? So there has been a very famous ikhtilaf from day one regarding the moon sighting issue. And there's been positions where one position is that you follow the global sighting. If the moon's seen one place in the world, everyone can follow that. Even if you don't see, wa alaikum salam, even if you don't see the moon sighting in your locality, you can follow that. So if Saudi sees the moon, or claims to see the moon, and other countries want to follow, nothing wrong with that by taking this opinion, right? And we don't really have to follow Saudi. I mean, if maybe Pakistan, or maybe another country, so-called Islamic country, Malaysia, Indonesia, whichever, who claim that they are seeing a moon, then other people around the world can follow that sighting. But it has to be done by a government which is upholding the rules of Islam in that sense, just to be on the safe side. So yes, otherwise local sightings are fine as well. If a person wants to follow Morocco, they can totally follow it. The problem in England is there are too many other issues, underlying issues regarding sighting. It's not, no one's got an issue with following Saudi. The problem people have is other baggage that they've brought with them. Cultural issues, their own kind of grudges they hold against each other, many people, and these kind of things. So personally, I think the best thing to do is to have a local sighting. That's what I think. To clear up all the problems, everyone should just follow England sighting. But it's not that easy, as we know. It's not that easy because there's committees of mosques, and there's mosques have been following a particular sighting for so many years. Now they don't want to change, and I've seen fights happen in mosques because of a small little decision to change sightings. Anyway, next question. So, in our culture, women often hide the fact that they are menstruating by pretending to fast so that men in the house don't know that they have periods. Is this part of haya or just cultural thing? I mean, this is a cultural thing. It's a totally cultural thing. There are many places, many communities who actually openly the women will eat at home. Nothing wrong with it. Um, but the thing is sometimes cultural is very difficult to kind of break away from that, and a woman feels very shy at home when she's she's menstruating, and she doesn't want her brothers or her uncles or her parents, her father, to find that she's menstruating. It's a very embarrassing thing for them. So yeah, so she should eat, and if she doesn't want to eat in front of them, that's fine. She can eat separately in a separate room without them knowing. That's fine. A question about wudu. Basically, I wear small gold hoop earrings and not sure if it's okay to leave them on whilst doing wudu. Does the water have to go through the hole that's been pierced uh, for my wudu to be valid, or can I keep the earrings on? Yeah, so as long as the water goes around the area, yeah, the hoop's fine. It doesn't have to go right into the hole. No, it doesn't have to go into the hole. Just have to wash the water. As long as I'm sure the hoops can move and water can get under them. Okay, let's see this next one. Have you heard of NS&I bonds? My father bought. The thing about bonds is generally all bonds are impermissible. Right? They're not Sharia compliant, because a bond basically is where you actually are making interest from a loan that you borrowed someone. So when you buy bonds, what happens is that these bonds are actually a loan. So for example, like let's say the government wants to build a bridge. So the government will ask people for a loan, right? And they do it in the form of bonds. So you can buy these bonds. Let's say the bridge costs £1 million to build. So it'll ask 1,000 people for £1,000 each. And then what it will do is it will give you a dividend. It'll give you a dividend every so often, right? And then you get your full money back at the end. You sell it back to them. You get your full money back. So that is impermissible. That is basically interest. So the Islamic sort of financial institutes have tried to overcome this by coming out with something called sukuk. It's the Islamic version of bonds, right? But in reality, premium bonds themselves are not permissible. Yeah. So I don't know exactly NS&I bonds, but generally they're not allowed. Bonds are not allowed. And a lot of people, they buy bonds because their bank or their financial institute is selling them, but they're not allowed. Okay, what is the point in doing good deeds and abstaining from sins when it isn't deeds that gets a person to paradise? Okay, so this was a question basically someone posed, which was the Prophet ﷺ, he says that is your deeds are not going to get you into paradise. It's Allah's mercy, paraphrasing what he said. What we have to remember is this: look, ultimately it's us obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Obedience to Allah is the main thing. We are never going to be, if Allah was to be just with us, like if Allah was to be just, our salat is never the perfect salat. Our fasting never the perfect fast. Our hajj is never the perfect fast. We still do these because these fall under the realm of obedience to Allah. So obedience to Allah has to be done in a particular way. There has to be rules and regulations, limits. So we do these things. However, these things that we're doing is not going to enter us into paradise. This just qualifies us for obedience to Allah. Entering into paradise is actually something which is done through Allah's mercy. Allah, He enters into paradise who He wants. A person can live their whole life worshipping Allah. Allah might not enter them into paradise. That's up to Allah. This is where the Mu'tazila, there's a group of Muslims in the beginning of Islam, Mu'tazila, they kind of split off from the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah on this issue. And they said, no, if a person does do good deeds, if a person does say something, then Allah has to enter them into paradise if they've done what Allah has promised. right? Allah doesn't go against His promise. So what we say is that nothing is binding upon Allah. Yeah, Allah will fulfill His promises, but nothing is binding upon Allah. If a person prays their salat, that doesn't necessarily mean they've prayed their salat according to how Allah wants, right? Our concentration, where is our concentration in salat? How many times do we think of other things in salat? How is our ruku in salat? How is our sujood in salat? What was the thing that we were doing when we were performing wudu? How much devotion did we show Allah, right? How many prerequisites of salat did we have? All of these things, they affect the validity of salat and the reward of the salat. So one is getting the reward and one is entering to paradise. So this question is, what is the point of doing good deeds and abstaining from sin when it isn't the deeds that, I mean, the deeds have never been the issue of entrance into paradise. It's always been Allah. We've been, if we think that it's our deeds that will enter us into paradise, that's where we're wrong there. That's we need to rectify that. So it's obedience to Allah. All of us living in this universe is us to show obedience to Allah. Just like the whole universe is obedient to Allah, we have to show obedience to Allah. Okay, I hope that clears you up. Okay, as teachers, how do you practically build spirituality in our students? Okay, how do you build spirituality in our students? First and foremost thing you have to remember is, if you are not connected to Allah, if you're not praying your 5 times salat, if you're not reading Quran daily, if you are not doing dhikr, if you are not staying away from sin, if you are not eating halal, if you are not abstaining from backbiting, all of these things, if you're not doing it yourself, then don't expect your students to rub off on you, yeah, in a good way, right? They are just gonna, take the bad from you as well, because you're gonna have an influence on them. So first of all, rectify yourself, connect yourself with Allah, pray to Allah, ask Allah. And before lesson, pray 2 rakats, make sincere dua to Allah, that Allah gives you the ability and your students to practice the religion properly and to act upon what you're teaching them. That's the main thing that is. So this idea of spirituality and building in students, it all starts from the teacher. And look at the Prophet ﷺ, his piety, and look at the Sahaba, they benefited from the Prophet ﷺ piety, his obedience to Allah. And likewise when it comes to people that came after. So all of these things, they have a knock-on effect, right? So if you yourself are not connecting yourself with Allah in the best way, then your students, what are they going to be like? You're a reflection of your students, then that means. So that's how you're going to do it. I mean, I'm not into this kind of making students do a certain routine and making them do this and making them do this all the time. Sometimes yes, but not all the time, because they should connect with Allah on their own free will, yeah, their own choice, and this makes them taste the beauty of Iman. Otherwise, they're forced into Iman, especially if they're adults. Okay, that's my own position on that. I don't know anyone else's position. If someone in the family bought Israeli dates without knowing they were Israeli, would it still be permissible to eat them? Yes, totally fine to eat them. Okay, not worth following. Okay. Is oral sex allowed in Islam? So the issue with oral sex is, there's 2 things. First of all, is it right for a person to put in their mouth the genitals of another person? Like, is that right? Is it something which is like a clean thing to do? So we know about the issue of istinja. When we go to toilet, we shouldn't use our right hand, we should use our left hand, and we should wash thoroughly, and etc. These kind of things. So that's the first thing, that in other words, it doesn't befit for a person to use the mouth in that area of the body, right? That would be the first issue. So there would be some dislike attached to it, definitely. The second is any sort of fluid that is coming out from the genitals, and then consuming that fluid, that would obviously be considered to be consuming impurity, najasa. So that would be totally wrong. So if a person avoids that, let's say the person avoids consuming the impure fluids, there's still the element of the mouth not being used in the right place, right? And what I would say is that if there is a person who cannot achieve sexual gratification except through this method, then they should only resort to these kind of things, making sure that everything is clean, right? If there is no other way, otherwise it should be avoided. These kind of things should be avoided, and a person should try to achieve sexual gratification through the normal way. Is wearing anything gold colored haram for men? No. Or is it metal gold itself? So yes, it is specifically metal AU gold, the element of gold. Wearing gold, yeah, it is not permissible. The metal gold. No. So gold plating and gold colored and stuff like that is totally fine. Yeah, permissible. Okay, next. Okay, this is a very long question. I had a few questions related to rules regarding gender interaction. When we're communicating with someone from the opposite gender, can we, our intentions and desires influence both the manner and content of our interaction? For instance, if I'm speaking to someone 15 years younger than me, don't feel any attraction whatsoever towards that person, is it okay to be a bit more relaxed or to talk to them privately? Or is it that by default, whenever communicating with someone of the opposite gender, irrespective of our personal feelings, we should always on the side of caution? Secondly, I'm not trying to question the wisdom behind the ruling around segregation of sexes. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect me from that. Neither am I saying that it is not natural to develop feelings for someone, whether it's genuine admiration or pure lust. But what I don't understand is that why is it a lot easier for me to have respectful, meaningful, intellectual conversation when needed with non-Muslim than Muslim men? Why are such interactions mostly fraught with so much awkwardness and tension, and God knows what? Surely I should be more at ease when conversing with my own Muslim brothers. Is it because we've had too much segregation, or is it because that we're trying to apply same rules of segregation in a world that's completely changed in the last few years? Here I must add that I have had some very interesting and meaningful discussions with Muslim men as well, especially my teachers, who always encourage me to ask and even be supportive, but they're sadly in the minority. Thirdly, is it is the question thirdly is the question of what are the clear boundaries when interacting with someone from the opposite gender, and are they even clear anymore? When I was little, I was told that girls don't speak to boys, girls don't make friends with boys, and whether I understood that or not, it was very easy to implement because that was the chance. What were the chances of the? Oh, my fast has got to me, man. It was very long. Okay, let me see what we got to. Where the chances I was going to run into a guy next to no one. But now, especially after social media, it's all become a big mess. So what is perfectly acceptable for me might be inappropriate for you, and what's fine for both of us might be outrageous for a third. It's such a headache that I've stopped using social media altogether. But is that the solution? A few months ago, I was having a discussion with some guys on Twitter regarding a fiqh issue in the middle of it. He goes, "You're a woman, what are you even doing talking to us non-mahram?" And I was like, what the hell? Where did you come from? Did all this time you think I was Abdul with a long flowing beard? And if that's okay when you talk to men, why on God's earth is it okay for you to talk to women? When I discuss it with friends, they are confusing as I am, and they say they go by getting fatwa from one's heart to check if interaction is okay or not. So is that the rule to apply? And isn't that too arbitrary? Okay, oof, very long day. So guys, did you get that? Yeah, everyone understand that? Okay, so when it comes to gender interaction, yeah. So if we kind of look at how gender interaction took place in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, it was a tribal system. People knew each other. People had a lot of respect for each other. Women were not objectified. People saw women as a member of the community. They saw them as human beings. They saw them as their neighbor's sister, or their neighbor's daughter, or their neighbor's auntie, or their neighbor's mother. That's how it was seen. And if you look at many villages today, close-knit communities, that's how it works as well, right? People will show respect when they have conversations. The conversations will be respectful conversations. It won't be flirting conversations. And that's how it has been in tribal societies, right? Village society, tribal society, that's how it's been. So there's been a natural sort of a kind of professionalism that people have shown to one another, or a kind of formal way of kind of communicating with one another. What's happened is, as time's gone by and as things have changed, and many factors, not just one factor, two factors, it's like layered, it's multifaceted. It's kind of created a society where people now find it very awkward to be able to communicate with one another. Yeah, you see this with men, women. You know, you can speak to a non-Muslim woman or a non-Muslim man, and you'll feel okay. You won't feel any sort of attraction or anything at all, any sort of awkward feelings. And definitely, I agree. And this is, generally what they consider to be a result of many things. And one of them is that, complete segregation is not the solution. It's never ever been the solution, because men and women have to interact with each other to a degree. So, the extremes that you have are things like where you want to get married to this girl, and they won't show you the girl, they'll show you the girl's brother. They'll say to you, this is what her brother looks like. Yeah, if you're interested, then we can make the marriage go through. So this is how one of the extremes, even like something like, looking at a woman to get married to, right? They won't even allow that. On the other hand, obviously you have, the Western understanding of interactions, which leads to, all sorts. So there has to be boundaries, yeah. And I think we are going through this phase at the moment where we're trying to struggle to try and realize where are these boundaries? How do we set these boundaries? And a lot of these boundaries are very difficult to set because you've got fatwas which will say, no interaction, and then at the same time you've got people who obviously, you know, university studying, colleges studying, teacher and student interaction as well, that's required. So then how do you balance all of that? What I would say is that you're going to have to take it bit by bit, right? So a person should avoid trying to flirt, or these kind of groups where people are just joking and flirting and putting up messages which are inappropriate, or things that you shouldn't be doing. If you're able to have, if you're able to have someone else in the conversation, if you're able to have, let's say, you know your mother there with you, or your sister there with you, and have this conversation with this woman, and or your wife or whatever, then I wouldn't see an issue. But if you can't, if you then that shows that, what, you're trying to hide something, you've got some other ulterior kind of motives out there. So I would say the way to approach this is we need to have a slightly balanced approach, and slowly, alhamdulillah, we're seeing a balance being struck in many areas. Yeah, so people are, but we got to be very careful. So I wouldn't really like to comment too much on this because this is a kind of very sensitive nerve for a lot of people as well. A lot of many, like for example, you see many Islamic charity organizations where I personally feel there's too much, lenient sort of interactions going on, too much informal interaction going on, traveling on holiday together or to places to distribute food, and they're taking pictures and of themselves and selfies and all these kind of. I think that's unnecessary. That is, and we got to draw the line somewhere. So there's got to be clear lines that we draw with these things. And joking around, I mean, if today, we're joking around with them and taking selfies and putting it on social media, then tomorrow it's going to lead to something worse than that. So we have to have some border. What are their borders? In other words, these charity organizations, Islamic charity organizations, do they have like limits? Do they have, I don't know. I'm just giving example, I'm not pointing out any specific charity out there, but that's personally my own observations on that. And likewise on social media as well, I think people should be careful as well. I try to be careful on social media as well. If there's people commenting on mine, I don't usually will comment on my social media too much, generally. But if it's just like kind of someone just having a long conversation, if it's a proper conversation regarding something which is beneficial, then I'll discuss things. Otherwise, if it's just joking around and just side comments, I won't really bother with that. So yeah, I think, yeah, the sister is correct. There needs to be something which is done, because obviously there's not just like the Pakistani community or the Indian community or Bengali community or Somalian community now. There's all sorts of communities coming into our community, and they've got different understandings of interactions as well, that you have to get a balance. Okay, but at the same time, obviously hijab is never going to be compromised, and the idea of fornication and intimacy and touching and all that kind of stuff. Okay, I had a question regarding divorce. If your husband divorces you once and doesn't take back during an idda period, then after idda, the woman is free to marry whomever she wants. And if they want to get back, all they have to do is a new nikah, right? Yes, that's correct. What happens if he issues her two divorces if they want to marry the same thing again? Yeah, just do a new nikah. Then what's the difference between one and two divorces in terms of if they want to get back? Yes, the same. So like the Quran says, talaqu marratan. So divorce is two. So you give one divorce, you can take her back. You give two divorce, take her back. Three is end of story. Yeah, game over is three. So it's like you got two chances. So you got two chances to take her back, and then if you make a third mistake, if you give divorce, then that's it. Khalas, over. Okay, Sehri. I was supposed to end at 4:25 a.m. I stopped eating early. I went to brush my teeth. After that, my throat was really dry, and it was 3:45, and I drank water. Is my fast still valid? No, fast broke. Yeah. So if you just do qada. Yeah. So you didn't know the time, so you just do qada. Make that faster. Okay. According to some scholars, pregnancy is in itself an illah for not fasting, whereas other scholars don't agree and say it is only if you fear fasting will affect you or your child's health, um, that you're exempted from it. Can you please explain? Okay, so generally, most of the scholars, I think there's only like the Maliki opinion, which says that pregnancy is considered to be an illness in itself. So therefore, a woman, irrespective of whether she fears for the child or not, can not fast and make up the fasts after Ramadan when she gets better. The majority of other scholars, they say no. The woman can only take the dispensation of not fasting if she basically um, fears that something's going to happen to the child. She fears that the child will be affected by her not eating in the day. Then she can not fast. So that's what they say, basically. So I hope that was a question. I mean, I don't know what else. The reason they say is because the child is still part of her body. So just like if one part of your body is affected and you have to take medicine for it, so likewise the fetus, if the fetus becomes affected and you have to not fast, then yeah, you don't fast. And if you harm the child, then this might even lead to a sin as well. Yeah, deliberately harming your body. So some scholars say it's even necessary to break your fast if you most likely know it's going to harm the child. Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I don't know if that was what you're asking, right? But that's basically, yeah. And like I said, the Maliki or some of the Maliki position is that it's a haqiqatan marad, it's a physical illness. Uh, so you know, in all cases, it doesn't have to fast. Okay. Next, you once mentioned in an answer to a question that it's okay for us to read novels, especially old classics, which are based on romance. Does that hold true for watching dramas as well, as long as there's nothing obscene in them? I was told before that it wouldn't be allowed because even if they play, they show a father hugging his daughter, in reality the actors aren't fathers and the daughters, and hence doing this is haram, which we're witnessing, and it would affect our spiritual state negatively. If you could please kindly explain that. That's a good point. That is. I mean, generally, when it comes to another person acting out these kind of roles, um, first of all, uh, what we kind of say is that if a person was to act something out, you can obviously watch it. You can read a novel. Nothing wrong with that. The other problems would be, for example, like in the dramas, a woman revealing more of her body than she should be, than you're supposed to be looking at. So this kind of a thing would actually be considered to be uh, wrong in itself. Yeah. So you've got the issue of her showing parts of her body that you're not supposed to look at. But that would be wrong. And this element is a good point as well that is made, that it's something that a person, a man hugging his daughter who is not really his daughter. So yeah, I mean, in that kind of sense, it would be best to avoid watching these kind of things. Yeah, it would be best. It wouldn't be like kind of totally permissible, totally okay. I would say in that sense, if it's especially if it's Muslim characters doing that. If it's non-Muslim characters or people don't really have any respect for their religion, and they're doing this, then there might be some scope there. Yeah. So a person who has no consideration for their religion, and doesn't really believe in Islam, then for them that is obviously that's totally fine for them. It's like, for example, on the street, if you saw someone hugging someone else, as long as nothing explicit is being done, right? I would say so, because we're living in a time where there's lots of these kind of things going on, right? So these kind of things, I mean, I think we've got to be very careful of how we portray this. We should try and avoid watching if there's no need for looking at watching these kind of dramas and things like that. Then avoid it. Otherwise, uh, there may be some scope. I would say there may be some scope for this. And this is now very common because the actors are not family members generally in nearly everything, right? So this would be obviously definitely seeing sin, becoming desensitized to a sin is spiritually, it's not good for you, right? Whether it's permissible or not, like seeing someone on the street drink alcohol, permissible to see them drink alcohol, nothing wrong with it. But is it good spiritually for you? Then definitely it wouldn't be good spiritually for you. Spiritually, looking at these kind of things wouldn't be a good thing for you. But as for the fatwa of whether you're allowed to watch these kind of things, I would say it's best to avoid these kind of things. If you don't need to watch them, it's best to avoid these kind of things. Okay. Right. When my sister was unwell, my brother-in-law made a vow that when she gets better, he'll perform Umrah. However, he hasn't been able to fulfill it, for one reason or the other. From what he remembers, he didn't put any time limit to his vow and left it vague. He said, "I'll do it when she gets better." My question is, his vow remain unbroken because of the wording? Does he have an option to not do it and feed poor instead? Okay, so yeah, so he'll have to do the umrah. He'll have to do it, but he can do it anytime he wants. Yeah, as long as he does it before he dies. Yeah, so he can do it anytime he wants. No, he can't give money instead. Okay, I'm just a little confused of Safarish. As we understand, in Urdu is allowed for not or not. For example, if a friend of mine, so Sifarish, for those who don't know, is interceding on someone's behalf. For example, if a friend of mine's father is the head teacher of a school and both another student and I are equally deserving, but I get the admission because of my father's Safarish, wouldn't that be unfair to the other student? Or for example, there is a long waiting list to see a doctor, but I get an opportunity first because he's a friend of my uncle's and he did Safarish for me, where the person you're doing the Safarish for is undeserving of bribery if it involves understandably wrong. I'm asking specifically about a situation where they're both deserving, but one gets through. So if a person uses money to try and pay someone to get in the line or whatever, then obviously that's not allowed. That would become bribery. But if a person knows someone and they have intercession, they intercede on someone's behalf, then that's allowed. Yeah, intercession is allowed as long as it's not done in something haram. So the Quran mentions may yashfa' shafa'atan hasanatan, is totally fine. Yeah, morally it might be wrong. So like morally it might be wrong that there's long queue of 20 people and you know the doctor and you just text the doctor and the doctor lets you in, right? Gives you first priority. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not a sin, so it wouldn't fall under any bribery or anything. But it's just morally you feel bad, like these people are all waiting and you jump the queue, right? So morally it would obviously, and sometimes morally something is wrong. However, in this case it wouldn't be sinful. It wouldn't be sinful. It'd be allowed. Is it okay for women in a group of 4 to go abroad on holiday together? The issue with women traveling is the issue of the mahram issue, and I mentioned this many times before. Generally, according to the Hanafi school, women are not allowed to travel more than the distance of a journey um, for a journey for even Hajj. They can't travel on their own without a mahram. However, Shafi school, Maliki school, others have said that if there is a strong group of women who they can protect themselves, yeah, if something was to happen, then they can travel. That's the Shafi and Maliki position. So, according to the Hanafi school, it wouldn't be allowed, right, on that kind of a journey to go on holiday for people, for that. And although there is, generally, I would say that look, if there is a need, a journey that's a need, a needy journey, where a person needs to travel for work or for knowledge or something like that, then I would say there's scope for that. Yeah, to travel, for a woman to travel with a group of women, but to go for a holiday together or abroad somewhere, I would say I would avoid that. I would say no, that wouldn't be something permissible. Yeah, because there's lots of harms now that can happen. That we hear about so many things that can happen to people on these kind of things. But if there's a big group of people, maybe yeah. If it's a large group of people, not just 4 people, it's a large group of people, maybe there's scope. Okay, so all those questions have finished. Alhamdulillah. Right, let me just let's check out your questions then. Okay, let me see. So whilst I bring up the questions, have all of you guys been good? Been good people? You've been enjoying your fasts? When I say you, have you been good? I don't mean like have you been good opposite of bad. I mean, have you been healthy, good, enjoying yourselves? Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, good. Nice to hear. Yeah. All right. Are there any new people here? I see some new names here. Is anyone new? New names. Yeah. Some new. Whilst I'm trying to bring this up. Okay. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. All right. So let's check out your questions. Right. Let's start from the top then. Ma'aldi. Ma'alad, is that lady? Is that lady? Saparat? How do you say that? I'm sorry for pronouncing it all messed up, man. Okay. Advice on procrastination, please. Okay, advice on procrastination. Right, so don't do it. Right, so for people who procrastinate, what you need to do is you need to make yourself a structure, and all you have to do is just say to it, if you're studying for something, let's say, all you have to do is just say, I'm just going to study 5 minutes, that's all. Study for 5 minutes, and you'll see you'll get encouraged to start studying for a longer period of time, right? Or reading Quran. So if you got this habit of, you know what, just cramming all your Quran into one time, just break it up. Just say to yourself, okay, and make a group with yourself, make some buddies or something, and start practicing together, test each other, ask each other, text each other, make like a WhatsApp group or something, and then you ask each other, have you read this? Have you done this? So you feel a sense of like responsibility. You got to report back to someone. That's the best way about procrastination. Okay. Are we allowed to shake hands with non-mahram? Well, technically, you're not allowed to shake hands with non-mahram unless there is a need. So if there's like some need that there's no other way out of it. Otherwise, no, unless they're very old. Okay, yeah, studying institutes. Actually, that's a good one. All right, so this is a very good question, and I'll actually leave it to the end because I think that this requires my own personal observations, which So, right, okay. Next question. Wa alaikum salam intellect. Ustad, how should we understand the hadith about non-Muslim push them to one side of the road? Okay, so this hadith comes in Muslim, comes in other books, and the Prophet ﷺ said, when you walk down the street and you see the Ahl Kitab, push them towards one side. The context of this hadith, I remember there was a scholar, and I mentioned this to him, and he actually quoted me another scholar who explained it and said, this was in a time of hostility when Muslims were faced with basically Islamophobes, people that used to openly, strip the clothes of Muslim women in the street, and they would push them to one side and they spit on them, and they would treat them very harshly. In Medina, this was even in Medina. So the Prophet ﷺ, he just simply told the Sahaba, right, you know what? If you see these people on the street, don't be scared. You push them to one side. As in, don't become intimidated when you're walking down the street and you see the Ahl Kitab walking. Right? So if you see the Islamophobes walking, you put your head up and you carry on walking, and you push them to one side. Right? So the context was hostility. And this is not the general ruling. So when you're walking down the street in Asda Tesco, right, you don't say, right, like I'm gonna act on the hadith now, yeah. So you Christian, right, push you to one side, knock them over, push them onto the shelf, and make all the eggs and bread and everything fall in their head. No, you don't do that kind of stuff. Common logic tells you that you don't do that. Common sense tells you that. So this hadith is contextual, needs to be contextualized. Is it shart for wudu that the water touches the fingernails, nail polish? Yeah, it has to touch the fingernails. Yeah, water has to touch the fingernails. Yeah, fingernails has to touch. All your hand, all your fingernails has to touch, according to the scholars. Yeah, so if you have nail varnish on, it's covering the nail, so water won't get to it. Okay, malady. Is it malady? Are you supposed to say malady? I think it's malady. Okay, Sheikh, can we taqleed from a certain madhab, Shafi to Hanafi or Maliki when we travel, e.g.? The thing, look, my own personal thing about this issue of taqleed, because a lot of people get confused now, and a lot of people are more confused about taqleed than they are about other aspects of Islam. It's like taqleed has become the most confusing thing for so many people, and they're just arguing over taqleed. So let me explain this to you. When the Prophet ﷺ he came, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent down the Quran upon him, the Prophet ﷺ and the Muslims were given the Quran, and this Quran that they were given, this was the guidance for life. So they had to basically, to be an obedient Muslim, you simply obey what Allah says. Obedience to Allah was the point of Islam. This is what Islam was all about. So therefore, if a person, all the way into the Day of Judgment, does what the Sahaba done, this person should be obedient. That makes sense. Any person, any ummati, any person of this ummah, of the Prophet ﷺ, he or she follows what the Sahaba did, the way that they follow the Sahaba did, this person, everyone agree, yeah? This person should be obedient to Allah, counted as being obedient to Allah. Everyone agree, yeah? Yeah, okay. So now the issue comes is there are certain things in Islam which are clear, right? Which we don't do taqleed in. We just clearly know. We know pork is haram. We don't follow anyone in pork. We know the Quran tells us. Even if we didn't know, the Quran tells us, and we ask a scholar, the scholar is just pointing out to us what the Quran says. So we're not doing taqleed. We're not following the scholar. We're following the Quran. Okay. Likewise, if we say to someone, "Is alcohol haram in Islam?" and a scholar says, "Yes, it is," and this is the verse for it. Okay, it's fine. So now we are following the Quran, even though we're following it through a scholar, right? But we're technically following the Quran. But then there's certain things in Islam which are unclear. Like for example, um, is boiler insurance halal or haram? Well, it's not in the Quran clearly. It's not in the hadith clearly, right? It requires investigation. When you follow the opinion of an expert in his investigation, his own research, you call this taqleed. In other words, you don't have the ability to come out with this ruling, right? But this other scholar does, so you're happy to follow him. Just like, for example, you go to the doctor, you have a pain in your in your abdomen, and you say to the doctor, what's wrong with me? And the doctor says basically, you've got this problem. So you just follow what he says, taqleed, right? Because that's his diagnosis, his research tells you that. So therefore, when a person follows this, they are doing what we call taqleed. Taqleed simply means following the expert opinion of an expert. Following an expert opinion of an expert. So then this Sahaba began to do this as well. Many Sahaba, they weren't experts, so they didn't know the answer themselves. So they just followed the opinion of Umar radiallahu anhu, or Ibn Abbas, or Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, like that. They would follow that, or Aisha radiallahu anha. Then as time went by, scholars saw the need for, let's structure this. Let's come out with some sort of a structure for this whole idea of how we follow things, right? So they came up with schools, methodology, right? So just so that people don't randomly just come out with any sort of, they said, let's come out with some structured way of trying to derive an expert's ruling. So let's lay out a way for experts so that they have steps to follow in how they come out with a conclusion, like an algorithm, you can say. So they came out with this. So basically, what happened was these schools later on, they became adopted by the governments. So the governments began to apply this, and they said, right, it makes sense for us to follow the structured, systematic approach of a particular school because lots of scholars are endorsing it, and it seems a very good way of trying to explain those things that are not clear in the religion. So this became the madhab. And then slowly later on, as time went by, people realized that following a particular madhab made more sense because it was a more safer way of trying to understand your religion rather than just trying to randomly, search for it yourself. Now the thing is, do you have to just stick to one madhab? Many of the scholars say it's the safe bet. The safe bet is that you if you were to obviously follow what the Sahaba did and you had the knowledge to follow what the Sahaba did, alhamdulillah, Bob's your uncle, job's done. Yeah, you've done exactly what they've done. You're not blameworthy, yeah, because they done it. So therefore, the same ruling should apply for you as well. So going back to this issue or this question again regarding this. So when we said about the following of the Shafi and the Maliki school, right? So for a general lay person, the general lay person is a person who actually doesn't really know the technicalities of the religion. They don't know all the details, intricacies. They just follow someone who is righteous. They believe they're righteous in their religion, morally upright. And number two, that this person knows his stuff. As long as you feel this guy knows his stuff or she knows her stuff and morally they're upright, this person, you would want your child to be brought up like them. I'm just giving you an example. Then you can follow their opinions. You won't be held responsible if their opinions are wrong. You can follow their opinions. So this is basically what the general public should do. Right? So therefore, when it comes to these kind of things, if a person needs to follow a different opinion regarding a certain situation, there is scope to do it but they shouldn't make it a habit, right, of just following anyone they want. I would say that a person should try their best to stick to a school of thought or a particular scholar rather, right, that they ask their questions from, and then if they need be, they can take an opinion of others. Anyway, that's my own, 2 pence on that. Okay, wa alaikum assalam, Adil Iqbal Saber. Okay, Fusini Muhammad, wa alaikum ustaz. Wa alaikum assalam, Fusini, you okay? Okay, Muhammad Ashraf, advice for khushu in salat. Okay, to gain khushu in salat, let me just tell you, right, do 2 things, right, when you're doing khushu in salat. Number 1, your body, relax, your shoulders, relax your shoulders, yeah, relax them. So relax your shoulders all the way. Have a go, breathe out your stomach. From your stomach, breathe all the way out. Relax your shoulders. Right, did you feel that calmness? That's the kind of calmness you need to achieve in salat. So when you're praying your salat, you relax yourself, relax all your body, relax, breathe out from your stomach. Make your heart beat so you can feel your heartbeat. Yeah, that's the first thing. And the second thing is that concentrate. Whatever you're reading, try to learn what you're reading and just concentrate on what's being said. Do those two things and let me know. You tell me after 1 month, you tell me how your salat changed. Yeah, and you guarantee you, inshallah, you're going to say to me, Sheikh, you you change the salat. Okay. Anybody else having a problem with sound? Okay, next. Do you have to have wudu when reading Quran on an iPhone? Technically, you don't have to have wudu, but it's best to avoid touching the verses of the Quran. Yeah, avoid touching verses of the Quran. Okay. Are you allowed to use toothpaste during fasting? Yes, you can use toothpaste during fasting as long as you don't swallow it. Yeah, as long as you don't swallow it, spit it out. So yeah, I mean, I use toothpaste. I use a toothpaste, but I just use it nicely. Yeah, clean my teeth and then spit it out. Wash your mouth out. Don't gargle it. You'll be okay. Okay. Wa alaikum assalam. Josua Burke. Is that how I say it? Josua Burke. Okay. You're welcome. You're welcome, guys. Alhamdulillah. Okay. Okay. Next question. Ya Allah. Okay. Alhamdulillah. Jazakallah khair for answering all the questions. Did you answer the one studying institutes with not properly trained teachers? Okay, I'm going to come to that one, inshallah. Okay, so I only have till 3 o'clock here, guys. I have to go at 3. So you've only got 15 minutes left, inshallah. I know you guys don't like long live streams. Yeah, you guys like short ones. But can you please explain the things that would not be regarded as ghiba, especially if hurt by someone and want to share it with others? Okay, so when it comes to ghiba, basically this, you always remember this, okay? Remember this rule and you should be okay. Any sort of thing which is there for the benefit of someone else or to save them from harm doesn't fall under riba. So for example, let's say there's a guy down the road who sells who's known for selling drugs, right? So if it's for protection of someone else, you're telling other people this guy sells drugs, don't go near him, you're protecting them from him, then that doesn't fall under riba. Or for example, like for someone's benefit, someone comes to you and says Zainab wants to marry Zaid, Zaid, do you think Zaid's a good guy? And then you say, you know what, in reality, he's not the best guy yet. He gets up to this yet. And so you got to be truthful in these things. So it's to save someone else, then benefiting someone else, then that's fine. Likewise, if your person needs to kind of tell someone else about the harms that someone's committing, then that doesn't fall under riba as well, right? But just to kind of gossip and just like go into the WhatsApp group and say, all right guys, let me tell you about Zainab. Zainab, yeah, let me tell you about her. And I'm not doing this under riba, I'm telling you the facts, right? Just so you guys are all protected from her and they don't even they're not really going to be harmed by her. That's not allowed. Okay, next. Does swallowing saliva with after fast of food after sehri and break? No, it doesn't break your fast. Yeah, it does not break your fast. Okay, next. Okay, Ustaz, please, is salah valid if prayed following a live TV or on mobile apps? Yeah, so is salah valid? So as long as you are close to the congregation, it's allowed, right? But if there's a gap between you and the congregation, like if it's in Makkah, yeah, and you're here, and there's like about 3,000 miles gap between you and Makkah, then no, it was not allowed. Yeah, there has to be no gap. The gap has to be very small, a reasonably small gap. And the kind of gaps they say is as long as it's in a masjid, the same masjid, or there's like, I mean, you can count it maybe like something like 10, 20 rows, and that would be okay. Recently, in a wedding in Pakistan, the guy's family not printed. It printed on the wedding cards that all ladies have to come with hijab on. I found that very, very strange. Can you police what others wear? Yeah, I mean, if you have your own kind of thing in your house and you tell people what to wear, that's fine. Yeah, you can police them if you want. I mean, if you invite someone down to your house and you say, please, can you wear this kind of clothing? Yeah, so it's totally up to you. It's not like a religious thing. It's just your own personal preference. MashaAllah, for releasing the good and appreciable duration in our life. MashaAllah. Okay. Wa alaikum assalam. Salams, Google. Alaikum salam. I have a rather lengthy question about studying Arabic. In short, is there a difference or advantage of studying M? Okay, studying MSA secular university and maybe Islamic studies at a university versus here is the confusion in my mind. What is the alternative to secular? Oh yeah, actually I'm supposed to look for an institute for you, aren't I? Totally forgot that, you know. Okay, so basically, look, let me tell you, let me kind of give you the gist. You know, if you want to study Arabic, why do you want to study Arabic? Or what's the purpose of studying Arabic? Do you want to study Arabic to be able to have conversations with people in the Arabic world today? Is that what your aim? To be able to write books? Then you can study Arabic anywhere. You know, you study at university level, MSA level, whatever you want to study, totally fine. But if you want to understand the Quran at a very deep level, right, you need to study classical Arabic. There is no way out of it. You can't compensate classical Arabic with you know modern Arabic. It's not possible. You must study it. So I would say that if your intention is to study classical Quran and that kind of those kind of texts, then you must study classical Arabic. All right. What you can do is study university, and on the side, some people do. Uh, uh, you can study traditional sciences, and that's what I'm trying to do on this YouTube channel. My YouTube channel basically is the aim is, guys, I want to provide all of you guys free of charge, inshallah, the sciences that you need to study to be able to appreciate this. Now, someone did recently raise this with me with regards to why I have this channel for. What's the whole point of this channel? I did kind of contemplate this a lot. In other words, I contemplated a lot that should I really have a channel or not? Is this something which I should have? Um, and you know, a lot of people would say things like you're giving knowledge to people who might not use it in the right way, right? You're providing knowledge, you're giving ilm of Quran and hadith and fiqh to random people in the world who are watching behind screens, and you don't know what the intentions might be with that knowledge. They might utilize that knowledge, you know, in a wrong way, which backfires on the Muslims. Or it might be people watching who are non-Muslims, and you're giving them this knowledge, and they can. So look, my simple, conclusion to this was I thought about this a lot, and I thought to myself, look, are our institutes providing the right knowledge to the students? Like, if we look at the institutes around the world that we have of knowledge, are they providing the right knowledge to the students? And I personally think they're not doing it, right? For whatever reason, the overall, some of them, mashallah, are doing a great job, but generally, and I can see that in England as well, in the UK, a lot of madrasas, they are not providing the ilm. Either the teacher isn't really confident in teaching that science, or maybe they don't have the skills to be able to get that knowledge and to make it, you know, student friendly and student centric. And it's just become like a kind of formality now, where you have this student attends a lesson and the teacher teaches and they have this certificate at the end, and then mashallah ijazas and all that, everyone dancing around, right? And personally, I don't think this is knowledge. I just think this is a cultural formality that's become predominant now. It's become a trend where people are just like churning out alims and alimas, right? And they don't have a strong understanding of Arabic grammar. They don't have a strong understanding of usul fiqh. They don't have a strong understanding of Arabic poetry. They don't have a strong understanding of tafsir studies. They don't have a strong understanding of hadith commentary. You know, these kind of things. Apart from what they've learned from their teacher, they can't really kind of utilize those skills. And I feel sad for them because they've put so much years into their studies. And if they had a right institute, if they had good, you know, a robust system in place, that they could have benefited, and alhamdulillah, they'd be confident Muslims, confident scholars, alims and alimas. So this is just basically supplementary. This is, I know so many people who are scholars and they use my channel, they use my YouTube videos to teach. So they'll go over what I teach, and then in the lessons they use that as a means of trying to explain to the people, and they find it very beneficial. Alhamdulillah, if they do, all praise to Allah. But the thing is, you know, we're in a crisis situation now, and I think the only way is for us to utilize the modern sort of technology and to present ilm, knowledge, so that our knowledge can be seen as being very sophisticated and very, you know, appreciable. Otherwise, knowledge just seems very sacred. No one can touch it, and end of story. So, and there's so many people out there that live so far away from studying in madrasas and institutes, recognized institutes, that they can't afford it. And so for them, you know, this is a dream come true. This is, alhamdulillah. And many of you guys have told me this as well, that you benefit a lot. So that's what, you know, I thought I'd mention. Okay, so Is it true that if a husband divorce his wife, doesn't need? You're welcome, Jazakallah khair. You're welcome, mashallah. And these kind of things make me happy. I get so many messages sometimes, mashallah, on the side, people thanking me for kind of videos I make and asking please make more videos and things. And wallahi, inshallah, I always make dua to Allah that Allah, you know, give me the ability to be able to make this whole channel, yeah, everything, and then take my life away. And this is my dream, inshallah. So, or if I can't do it, then make someone else come and help me with this as well, and be able to. I would love that if there could be other people, like-minded people, who can continue some of the work I'm doing, and take it on another level. Inshallah, and people will do that. I believe in the future. Okay, so is it true that if a husband divorces his wife and doesn't need to have a reason, whereas if a wife wants khula, she has to have proof it in the court grounds? Yes. Okay, that's the simple answer here. But see, this kind of question can come across. The answer can come across a bit abrasive. But in reality, this requires understanding background of the technical philosophy of talaq and divorce and etc. And family. Okay, Jazakallah khair, alhamdulillah. Salam Ustad. What about the people fasting in Switzerland? They're fasting 22 hours. Can it be cut down? I mean, I would say speak to the local scholars. People in Switzerland, they should speak to the local scholars. Because I'm not faced with this, I don't really see the problem with it. But if there is a need and if there are problems, people are suffering generally. If a person finds it difficult to fast 22 hours, they don't have to fast. Simple as that. If they find it hard, burdensome, they come under the category of being ill. So that should also be taken as well. So a lot of people say in England should we cut down the fasts, make them shorter. Simple. Allah says in the Quran, not everyone has to fast. If you're ill, if you're on a journey, then you can make up your fasts when the days are shorter. Okay, thank you for your advice, Muhammad Ashraf. Jazakumullah khair wa ahsan jazak. In my heart, I want to understand Quran, inshallah. May Allah make it easy for you. A book, please, from your shelf. Okay, so let me go back to your question about the institutes. Okay, so institutes that don't have people who qualify to teaching them. So what's my understanding of that? So first of all, there's a lot of places that set up like you'll have a sister maybe who studied a bit of Arabic here, a bit of hadith here, and tafsir, and then she'll have a little halaqa, and that halaqa will grow, and then maybe they'll make it like some sort of like a 1 year, 2 year syllabus kind of thing. Or you might have a brother or some guys who have learned a bit of Arabic in Egypt or somewhere, and they've come back and now they're starting to teach, and maybe they've got some understanding of some fiqh and some other things. It is very nice, people want to teach the deen, but we have to remember to make it official, to give it like an official stamp, a person should be qualified for this. This is always the case. Even in medicine today, you don't want to become a doctor and you don't have any official qualification from a recognized board. So I would say exactly the same thing when it comes to the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Today, unfortunately, every Tom, Dick and Harry is teaching the deen online. Everyone their own way is teaching, right? Like me, I'm even Tom, Dick and Harry as well. But the thing is, we need to get it from those people who really know what they're talking about. A lot of people, a lot of audience, they don't know who knows what they're talking about. Sometimes a person can be very charismatic in the way he speaks or she speaks, very passionate, and we think this person knows everything. But that's not a sign that they know everything. General public will very rarely know how much a scholar knows. Very rarely, I would say. A lot of people don't know how much Mufti Taqi Usmani knows. A lot of people don't know how much Sheikh Yusuf Qaradawi knows. A lot of people don't know how much Noman Ali Khan knows, or anyone else. They don't know. They're impressed by certain things, and that becomes a measure for how much knowledge they have. So I would say, when it comes to these kind of institutes, we should have these institutes where people, amateurs or learners are teaching other people. However, at the same time, we need to recognize that these are not qualified institutes. You don't become something once you finish from there. You gain some skills, but you don't qualify as something. To get a qualification, it needs to be done by an authority, by an organization which is considered to be recognized. Recognized in the community or globally as a recognized organization. And there's many of them around at the moment. The problem with this is that, like for example, in the UK, we have this issue of everyone opening a madrasa now. Everyone opens a madrasa. Every mosque now is having a part-time madrasa alim course, and everyone's starting it now, and everyone's like competing with each other. We provide this, we provide this, we provide this. But the reality is that because these people are untethered, right? They're not really kind of bound to anything. There's no kind of monitoring taking place. There's no sort of checkups that are being done about these people. We don't know what's happening. That's the truth. People are qualifying, but we don't really know. And I, as a Nazim al-Ta'limat, director of studies in the place I teach at, I have to interview students that come to join higher classes, and sometimes I feel ashamed for them because they've come to join, let's say, the fifth year, which is like maybe like 1 year before qualification, and they only qualify for the second year. But where they were studying, they felt that they qualified for the fifth year, and I tell them, no, straightforward, you can't do. For our fifth year, you need to qualify to be able to at least read Arabic text and understand it fully yourself. And if you can't do that, you don't qualify for the fifth year. So, these kind of sad kind of things um, do occur. Actually, you know what? Just give me because I just want to finish off on this, and I think it's very important. Stay with me, guys. Yeah, I'll be back in 5 minutes. Okay. Yeah, 5 minutes. I'll be back. I have to make a phone call. So in 5 minutes, I'm gonna be back, and then I'll continue for about 15 minutes or so. Because I just want to expand upon this. And if you got any other questions, leave them in the comments. Yeah, put your question in the comments. I'm gonna come back in 5 minutes. Okay. Okay. So I'm back. Okay. So just to finish off on what I was saying. Well, actually, not be 5 minutes, is it? So I'll just wait for the 5 minute one. I did promise 5 minutes. Yeah, I did make a phone call. It was a very quick phone call. So alhamdulillah, that's done. Quick phone calls. All right. So uh, whilst I'm waiting for the 5 minute crew to come back. Okay, let's just see. Someone's text me some questions. No, actually, they're not questions. There's some long messages. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, does anyone else have any questions? Okay. Did I answer all the questions on Curious Cat? I think I did. Okay, so yeah, actually, someone else did mention this to me. That can I do the chapter of fasting in Kuduri? Actually, it might be a good idea, but I don't think I'll be able to finish it. That's the thing. I mean, unless I do like just a one video thing on fasting itself, cover fasting, because if I do start fasting, the thing is, because each lesson is it's quite a small chapter, yeah. Unless I skip out the. See, the thing is, shall I skip out the part section about the what's it, the clouds and all that, observing the month. Yeah, so that's the kind of thing. Chalo, let me think about it. Let me think about it. I mean, is there any specific reason why you want Kuduri? Is there a specific reason why you want Kuduri? Okay. Yeah, ask questions. You can ask some questions. So I've got 15 more minutes. Then I've definitely got to go. Right. So then I definitely have to go. So 15 more minutes, inshallah. Till about 3:20. Then I definitely got to go. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant du'as. Ameen, ameen. And all of you guys as well. Jazakumullah khair. May Allah accept all your du'as as well. Okay, so going back to what I was saying earlier on. So like I said, when it comes to the issue of these institutes that are out there, so a lot of people, they seem to think that just because of an institute, or just because some sort of a place has a particular syllabus that they're teaching, or they call it alim course or whatever, we have to be, we have to have our wits about ourselves. We've got to ask them, with the qualifications and all these kind of things. We should have to be able to do that. Otherwise, what can happen is you can have people who are just teaching, set up, they set up stall, they start teaching, and they could be teaching anything. And I've heard that strange things that some people have been teaching. They have like halaqas of Quran, and they don't know Arabic, right? But they'll be teaching Quran, and subhanallah, they come out with some strange stuff, ya Allah. And I'm thinking, I've studied classical Arabic, I've studied this, I've studied that, I've never heard this before. So they come out with their own meanings, their own interpretations. Maybe they've read somewhere. So some people are very good at reading. They like doing lots of reading. But the thing is, when you study, when you qualify, the difference between a qualified person and a non-qualified person is when both of them read the same books, the qualified person can sift through them and find the authentic stuff, and the non-qualified person will not be able to distinguish between what's what's genuine and what's false. So I think that is something which we need to keep in mind as well, especially when you're sending your kids to a place to study as well. We've got to be very careful. Personally, I don't approve of anyone sending their kids to boarding schools, madrasas, unless they are 16 or over. I don't believe in boarding schools that are for young kids, because parents, that's the time where their emotions are very high, hormones and all these kind of things, and you put kids inside of a madrasa, and their hormones at the same level, right? These guys are going to cause havoc, and it's happened so many times. Not interested in studying, and the parents can have a very big impact on children as well, and especially at that age. That's when the iron's hot, right? So not the iron, istri iron, not that kind of iron. Yeah, as the famous saying, iron's hot, strike it. So this is why I think it's very important for people to be very particular about this, not to send their kids anywhere, and keep their kids. If you want to teach them alim course or something, that's fine. Don't teach your kids alim course unless they are over 16. Teach them Arabic. Arabic you can teach at a young age. I don't see a problem with teaching Arabic at a young age. Teaching Arabic at a young age, very good. But teaching like advanced books of fiqh and advanced books of aqidah and advanced books of, I think these shouldn't be taught to kids that are 13, 14-year-old nowadays. They're not. In olden days, maybe 13, 14-year-old kids were more mature, academically mature. But nowadays, I don't think they're very academically mature. Right? They're into Fortnite, by. These guys are into Fortnite, and they're into messing around and things. Okay, should not display their beauty and ornaments except. Can you explain the concept of zina? Some scholars make a lot of things haram because they consider it zina. Yeah, so zina, لا تبدو ولا يبدين زينتهن إلا ما ظهر منها. They shouldn't display the zina. Zina means anything which is beyond enhancement. So, for example, like the normal face would be considered to be like Jamal. So a person's natural, the way they look, you describe them as being Jamil. And then if they put a bit of makeup on top, then this would be considered to be some sort of like enhancement. So you're enhancing that look. And then if that enhancement covers up most of the natural thing that you can see, then they consider it to be zina. Yeah, so zina is like a level which is beyond Jamal. It's right, you make lots of enhancements. So a woman is allowed to do this, nothing wrong with it. However, a woman should not show those parts of her body, those kind of enhancements, or those kind of beautiful, ways of beautification, which are going to impress other people, or she's doing it, or other people are going to be captivated by her. So these are the kind of things the Quran said she shouldn't expose them. Yeah, a woman should know, common sense will tell her, like, what, this isn't something I should be exposing in front of the people. So the scholars discuss this, and some say that this refers to, things like her arm shouldn't be shown, the bang, wherever she wears jewelry, basically, those parts of the body shouldn't be shown. Earrings, ears shouldn't be shown, necklace, neck shouldn't be shown, those kind of things. And then other scholars say that no, this refers to like the undergarment, yeah, the zina of the under, what she wears underneath, yeah, that shouldn't be shown. So again, what I would say is that a woman should be very clever, should be witty, she should use her common sense, that those kind of things that she herself wouldn't like maybe her daughter to be seen in, right? Dressing herself an upright person. I mean, that's the kind of thing that she shouldn't go around showing other people. Yeah, so some of these kind of things you got to leave it to the discretion of the community. Yeah, upright community, how would they see it? That's how it is. And a lot of people are like that. They just put basic makeup on, basic kind of things, and they get the job done. Okay, so that was that, and let me just see if I can find a book or something. You guys want to see some books? All right, so let me show you this book. So this book, I basically got it as a gift when I was in madrasa. I passed some exams, yeah. So I wrote my name in there as well. So I passed some exam. They gave me a whole collection of books, and this was one of them. So this is a very good book. I think I got it in the third year or something. It's called Sur min Hayat Sahaba. Yeah. So basically, there is this guy. Right. His name is Dr. Abdul Rahman Rafat Basha. I think he's Egyptian. So he basically is gone, and he's collected like nice stories, nice like powerful stories or events in the lives of some Sahaba, and he's collected them in a small little biography kind of form, right? So it's very nice, and you read them; they're very kind of captivating, very some of them are very inspirational as well, stories that you can read. I mean, in this one, it's got whose life has it got in there? So I mean, it's got like loads of Sahaba. It covers a whole list of Sahaba. Yeah, I've read through all this. So Sa'id bin Amir al-Jumahi, Tufail bin Amir al-Dawsi, Abdullah bin Hudhaf al-Sahmi, Umair ibn Wahab, al-Bara ibn Malik, Salama, Thumama, Abu Ayyub, Amr ibn Jamuh, Abdullah bin Jahsh, Abu Ubaidah. Yeah, this goes on. So if you're into Arabic and you can read Arabic, and the Arabic in here is a very good level, I would say. It's like advanced level. Yeah, so you might struggle with trying to understand some things in here, but if you can read all of this, I would say your Arabic is at a very good level. Yeah, I don't know if you can see or not. The camera's probably backwards anyway. So for those people who are studying like Arabic, advanced Arabic texts, so I would suggest this. On the side, just read it yourself. Maybe before you go into sleep or something, or maybe first thing in the morning, or maybe after some salat, you have a fixed time, and just read like a page or two. Yeah, like a small incident or a story on it. Yeah, really good. Okay, right. Do we have to recite Surah Fatiha after the Imam during Jama'ah prayer? Okay, according to Hanafis, no. So according to Hanafis, the Imam's recitation is sufficient for the follower. Right, so when you're praying with the Imam's recitation is sufficient for the follower, then inshallah that's okay. But according to other madhabs like the Shafi'is and the Hanbalis, you recite behind the Imam. Yeah, so you recite Fatiha at least behind the Imam in loud prayers and quiet prayers. But according to Hanafis, you don't do any recitation. The Imam's recitation is enough for you. Alright, that's it, I think, guys. So you guys are going to be quiet as well. So Jazakumullah khair, guys, for this. I thought I'd honor my curious cat subscribers and answer their questions. And alhamdulillah, hopefully I've done that. So as you guys can tell, I cut down a lot on my social media, and I think in Ramadan it's very important. Right? Try to do other things. Try to read Quran. Try to pray some extra nawafil that you never used to pray before. Try to do something extra in Ramadan that you never used to normally do, and that way at least you can benefit spiritually from Ramadan as well. Okay, I think there was one more thing that I was gonna mention, wasn't it? What was the other thing? Right, ijazas, yeah. So some of you guys have asked me about ijaza, like what's the whole point of doing these videos and this channel. So ijaza basically is like, for example, I study and I study with my teacher, and my teacher is happy that I've understood the science to a good level. So he says, I give you ijaza in this, meaning that you can tell people that I am happy with you understanding this science. So it's like basically an authority extending his authority and saying that this person, according to me, is someone who is qualified to teach people this science. So this is known as ijaza. Scholars have been doing this from day one, right? So people use this concept of ijaza to kind of teach the religion. So in other words, it's like a kind of safety net. You can say, so and so Sheikh Imam Malik gave Ibn Wahab ijaza, or he gave Imam Muhammad ijaza in his book, so now he can teach it. So this is like a nice way for general public to trust someone. as in where did you study, what's your qualifications, and nowadays it's degrees and all that. So this is the concept of ijaza. So in today's terms, it's qualification in the form of a degree or a certificate, and in the olden days it was more verbal, or sometimes the teacher would write it on the student's book and you'd give ijaza, sign it. So some of you guys asking that, would you be interested in giving ijaza? So I can give ijazas on sciences that I have. The thing is, I'm only going to give ijazas, I'm quite strict in giving ijazas, because that would mean that if I give, for example, let's say someone called, let's say Zainab. So Zainab says to me that, look, I want ijaza. I say, okay, you got to do this entire course, my course. You'll have to do, I'll have to examine you regularly, and I'll also have to, test you maybe, understanding maybe assignments or whatever, to make sure that I'm comfortable that you have understood this thoroughly. And once I can feel that, then I can say to you that you have ijaza, and I can maybe sign some sort of document or something, say this. That I wouldn't have an issue with. Yeah, that is something which is possible. But I would be extremely strict on that, very strict. It's not just going to be like, you attended a 2-day course and then at the end of it you get a certificate, whether you heard or whether you didn't hear. Yeah, no. So if people are interested, otherwise the whole point of this my YouTube channel is, like I said again, is so that people can have access to these sciences and have access in the most easiest way I can present it. I mean, I haven't found anyone else on YouTube that has a similar channel like this, Islamic kind of channel. I don't know. Maybe there is. If there is, put in the comments. But I haven't really found anyone on YouTube that has a similar channel that does explanation of these kind of texts in English in this way. And I hope there will be people in the future that will start channels like this and will be inspired by this. But the aim is, like I said again, is that people out there can learn. Average person, if you want to learn the deen and you don't want ijaza, you don't want to go in the future and teach other people, that's totally fine. Alhamdulillah, you can learn it for yourself. You can teach your own kids maybe about the deen. That's totally fine. But at a public level, if obviously you want to be able to go and teach, then you gotta have some sort of a qualification for it. That's what I would say. And that's it really. So anything else, guys? No other questions? Yeah, alhamdulillah, I've worn you guys out. A good sign that is. So jazakallah khair, guys. I'll try and do another live stream sometime in Ramadan, later in Ramadan, hopefully. Otherwise, in Ramadan, as you can see, I've kind of cut down on the normal videos I make, and I'm focusing more on Quran orientated videos. And the reason for that is because in Ramadan I want to focus more on Quran, on learning of the Quran. Alhamdulillah. So jazakumullah khair. If there's nothing else, if there's no other questions, thank you very much, guys, for attending. And wherever you guys are in the world, just if everyone could just let me know where they are in the world, or if they're in the UK, which part of the UK they're in. Yeah, just so I can have an understanding of mashallah, where alhamdulillah, my subscribers they call from, or they join from. Yeah, North America, Allahu Akbar, mashallah. So that means you guys got a long time left for your fast. Singapore, mashallah, Muhammad Ashraf, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. So you guys have probably broken your fast and you're chilling. You're probably eating something now. Yeah. Maybe any other. Okay. I know some of you guys here from the UK. Yeah, some of you guys from the UK, mashallah. Dudley, Allahu Akbar. Oh, you live in Dudley, yeah? Okay, I thought, mashallah. Okay, Holland, Wasik, excellent, mashallah. So you guys all still in the middle of Ramadan, or the day of fasting. Okay, mashallah, mashallah. Okay, jazakallah khair, guys, then. Thank you very much. And I will see you guys, inshallah, soon. Remember your du'as. And if you have any sort of like suggestions, Silet. Silet part of Aston. Allahu Akbar. Yeah, I know that part, bro. Yeah, I know that part. I try to avoid that area. Yeah, I usually just like, zoom through, put my foot down, full speed, and zoom through it. Yeah, I agree. The only other channel I have found is Qasim, the Arabic student who covers Qatr and Nada with the Sharh. But once again, thank you. You're welcome. Jazakallah khair. MashaAllah. Yeah, questions, but you said you'll finish at 3:15. But honestly, thank you so much. Jazakallah khair, Sister Amina. Jazakallah khair, Sister Zara. Jazakallah khair, Romana. Make more videos, inshallah, inshallah. Jazakallah khair, Google. Thank you very much, guys, and I really like your inspirational motivation, your words, kind words that you guys show me. And if you have any non-kind words, anything which is straight to my face, which is gonna help me improve my channel or improve me, inshallah, I'm ready, inshallah. Yeah, it's the month of Ramadan, month of rectification, so I need some rectification sometimes as well. So, if you need to rectify me, if you need to point out some faults in me, inshallah, yeah, point them out. Please repeat the name of the book comprises of life of Sahaba. It's called Suwar min Hayat as-Sahaba. Suwar min Hayat as-Sahaba. Suwar min Hayat Sahaba. Oh, this is backwards, isn't it? You don't want to see it. Actually, write in Arabic. Suwar. Where are you from, Hussein? Where are you from? Suwar min Hayat as-Sahaba. Are you from UK? If you're from the UK, bro, oh, I don't know, is it a bro, is it a sister? I don't know what it is. Yeah, so if you're from, I will send you a book. Yeah, if you like that, if you like this book, tell me where you're from, inshallah, and I will send you a copy of this book. Yeah. But you have to tell me before I turn it off. If I turn this off, yeah, Hussein, if I turn this off, then the condition goes. Yeah, you lost it. So tell me where you're from, and inshallah I will send you a copy, inshallah, of this. Yeah, I think I have one extra one of these. Yeah, Surah min Hayat al-Sahaba. Got one extra one somewhere. I think I've got an extra one. Yeah. Alright then, Jazakumullah khair, guys. Remember your du'as, inshallah. And last thing, the those Quran tafsir, are they too long or are they too short? The ones that I've been putting up, the short surahs, are they too long, too short, or reasonable? Not seen any faults. Allahu Akbar. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. May Allah protect your eyes from my faults. Jazakumullah khair. Jazakallah khair, Google. Jazakallah khair, Wasiq. Barakallah feek. Ya Wasiq. Inshallah, one day I'm going to come to Tanzania. Allah. You're in Tanzania, man. If you were in UK, I would have sent you it. Yeah, I was going to send you free copy, a gift from me, inshallah. But you're in Tanzania, so I think maybe sending it over there might be a bit difficult. Okay, anyway, Jazakumullah khair. Thank you very much, guys, and Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.